Will Nico be better than Hendon Hooker? Hendon Hooker, one of the most prolific passers in Tennessee history. Some of that's because the game's changed. Weren't a lot of guys in the 1930s throwing for 4,000 yards. Nevertheless, he was fantastic. He would have been at the Heisman ceremony. So that's one of the top 3 or 4 players in the nation had he not gotten hurt against South Carolina. So will Nico be better than Hendon Hooker? I ask you that just straight out, and it's brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. 40 years in the real estate biz in East Tennessee. Best services, best price. It's not close. AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Tell them Off the Hook Sports since you support our sponsors. We greatly appreciate that. Will Nico be better than Hendon Hooker? Yay or nay?
I'm going to set this up real quick because Hendon Hooker, people are going to call me crazy. Hendon Hooker, over 2 years at Tennessee, completed over 68 and then 70% of his passes, had a total of 54 touchdowns and just 5 interceptions. He ran for over 1,000 yards and 10 more touchdowns. He averaged over 9.5 yards a pass attempt. One of the most efficient quarterback in Tennessee history. And yes, Nico's going to be better, guys. And he'd better be better if he's fully healthy. This is a generational talent. This is an incredible generational talent. And those who like to say Hooker's numbers, it's all efficiency, and that shows that he's the best quarterback in Tennessee history. No, times have changed. That's a lazy argument. It's the same lazy argument people try to make in favor of Drew Brees being a top 5 quarterback of all time. Drew Brees is not a top 5 quarterback of all time. He played in a more pass-happy system than John Elway or Dan Marino. Sorry. Same with Hendon Hooker versus Peyton Manning. Hendon Hooker's not on Peyton Manning's level, just played in a more pass-happy system and a more pass-happy era. Nico is in that same pass-happy era, and he's got a better... Yeah.
And this isn't recency bias because the Citrus Bowl is Monday. This is not that at all. I would have told you that before Monday. I thought he was going to be every bit as good as Hendon Hooker. Now, he did exceed my expectations on Monday. He was even better than I thought, but not by a lot based off what I've heard. So, we look in the message board, a generational kid with the cards he's been dealt this year. Hendon didn't have much of a defense. That's true. Nico should be better all around. I just look at the two guys, and you get mad at me because of the eye test. And I know you do at times. I've seen it in your eyes. Because I'll start talking college football playoff, and I'll go eye test, and you're just like, Caleb twitches a little bit. I can look at those two quarterbacks, Hendon Hooker and Nico, and see positives in both. But there's a guy that's another level, and it's Nico. I mean, I've watched years of football, Caleb. This is not difficult to me. I don't know if they'll put up the same numbers. He may not need to. They may run the ball. They may have a good defense. But he's going to be better than Hendon Hooker significantly.
Let's just talk about this from an NFL draft perspective. Hendon Hooker's a guy we think could be good because he's a hard worker, and if he goes to the right system that works with him and develops a scheme around him, he'll be good. Nico's a guy that when he goes to the NFL draft, I don't care who you are, what your system is, what you have, you take him. You know what I mean? So, like, that is if you are the most dysfunctional franchise in history, you take Nico with the first pick and he could turn your franchise around immediately. And that's the difference. And so Hendon is, I look, and we say this is not like, we're not one of those people, Dave, that says Hendon is a total product of Josh Heupel's system. He deserves credit for what he did himself too, because Joe Milton proved this year that Hendon is still the best quarterback to this point to run Josh Heupel's system. Can we agree on that? Of any quarterback that's ever played in Josh Heupel's system?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. But but Nico is, you're right, he's generational. We're talking about a rare talent that is also in the, again, literally molded perfectly for Josh Heupel's system. I'm honest next year, like, guys, you might see a 25 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio. Okay, you might see like the greatest touchdown to interception ratio of all time with Nico next year. And also, one of the things.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things that really stands out to me, Dave, is you talk about moxie. Nico has because of his background, he draws inspirations to Tua Tagovailoa and Marcus Mariota. But I got to be honest with you, I see way more moxie in Nico than I do those two quarterbacks. Don't you? Those two seem much more like I do what I say, and that's it. Whereas Nico's like, I'm taking the reins myself.
I hear the bigger Bryce Young is what I hear, but I don't know why people are bringing that up. I haven't seen enough of his ability to decide whether or not to run downfield or throw the ball downfield yet. So we've got a couple of different opposing views that I want to get to. And I want to be clear because Travis up first here says that feels like we need to slow down a bit. He's only played one game. I would totally tell you that every single year that a new kid came in or a guy started one game. But I'm basing my opinion on Nico, what I heard before Monday. That Citrus Bowl was only 25% of what I think of Nico. So I think I'm putting my reputation on the line. If the guy goes out there and he's a dud, then everybody's going to remember, just like I criticized Joe Milton at times, that Dave Hooker said that Nico was a special talent. I kind of did this for 25 years, not to throw it all away for something I didn't truly believe in. Guys, I'm not just trying to make you feel better. I believe Nico is a generational 1 in 25 year talent.
They knew, let's call it what it is. We were covering the team last year, Dave. You were a little bit more tight end, but Nico comes. We heard the stories that Joe Milton immediately got kicked into high gear after that and that Taven Jackson transferred. They knew at bowl practices last year they had a future legend on their hand the minute Nico arrived, didn't they? I mean, the coaches knew it immediately when he showed up.
Oh, I know Joe Milton knew it. I mean,
yeah.
If somebody told me if there was any chance that Joe Milton was going to slack off at all once he saw Nico, that wasn't going to happen. Apex Apparel Group, design, brand, market your way. Unique products to promote your business with unparalleled customer service. Call Tyler at 865-919-3001, 865-919-3001. Go to your apexapparel.com, yourapexapparel.com. It's right below. Check them out. Coming up, we want to continue to talk a little bit of Nico, but in sort of a different way, because I've completely changed my theory on what Tennessee's record would have been. What Tennessee's record would have been, Caleb, had Nico played earlier in the season. But what we do know about Nico is that even if he's a generational talent, Caleb, this is no slight on Hendon Hooker. I mean, if Hendon Hooker could be the Heath Shuler to Nico's Peyton Manning.
Yes. Funny enough, I don't know if people didn't people consider Heath Shuler generational talent though when he arrived? I mean, that was rare at the time, his physical abilities.
I still think he was a generational talent. I think he could have played in the Olympics and run the decathlon.
Yeah, but you're right. With Peyton, but it wasn't even look, it's more clear with Nico than Peyton. Remember, you just brought it up. It was 60-40 Peyton or Brandon Stewart who wins the job. Nico shows up and Taven Jackson hits the portal. He's like, bye, I'm out. And I know people will say, well, Peyton started his freshman year. He started his freshman year because there were two other quarterbacks who suffered season-ending injuries. So that's why Peyton started his freshman year.
Yeah, he didn't want to start.
I'm sorry?
He didn't want to start his freshman
year. He didn't want to start. And another comparison people bring up, Dave, you were covering the practices at the time. Remember when it was the first day of fall camp, Ainge and Brent Schaefer show up and Fulmer immediately says they're going to be the starters over CJ Leak. And he goes to the meeting and he says, I've just never seen two quarterbacks that dynamic. You tell me, I didn't believe that it was that he thought they were that dynamic. I just thought he thought CJ Leak and Rick Clausen were that bad. Was that the case?
Yeah, pretty much. Travis was the one that said maybe we need to slow down a bit. But then there's the other end of the spectrum. Hendon's this is by Dylan. We appreciate your contributions, Dylan. Great job. Hendon's a quick processor with a solid arm that has no issue with tempo. Nico is all that and more mobile with arguably a better arm.
Not arguably.
The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that at the end of the day, we may still say 4 years from now, Hendon still throws great touch on his deep ball. That might be the one aspect that we say is still a little bit better than Nico's, but that's nitpicking.
No, I watched Nico.
That's like saying tie your shoes.
And that's still not right. I watched Nico in the Polynesian Bowl last year. I saw his deep ball. He's got better touch on the deep ball than Hendon Hooker too. Nico has a definitively better arm than Hendon Hooker.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to offer up a little sidetrack.
I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, again, the only thing you would question, you're right, Hendon Hooker processes information well. We can't know that with Nico until we see him in a full year because Hendon we're talking about a very smart quarterback in Hendon Hooker and a very smart player. But Nico, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Go watch Polynesian Bowl highlights last year. Prettiest deep ball you will ever see. Best deep ball I've ever seen a quarterback have.